Hello, Kevy Metal. It's Weekly Rations here with a response to your competition for albums that I think you should hear. I like the idea that you had picked your prizes from your local town, from Seattle. So I kind of had to think about some records locally here in Northern Ireland that I have enjoyed and maybe you would like or should reach a wider audience. But before I talk about those records, I kind of wanted to bring you into my past. And when I was a teenager, like lots of teenagers, you're influenced by yourself and by your peers, and by music trends. So I was probably a bit a typical grunger. You know, obviously grunge music was coming into its peak whenever I was 16, 17 and 18. So I was, pretty much middle of the road grunge dude, big time into Nirvana and such, a lot of Seattle bands. There was a band locally called Ash, a bunch of teenagers. Basically, they were a year or two older than me at the time, and they released a record to quite success and went on to become reasonably successful here in the UK. But obviously, there was no chance that I could be a fan of Ash. Girls at school would be a fan of Ash. People that didn't know better would be a fan of Ash. But me, Mr. Cool Teenager, no way I was going to like Ash. And this is kind of stuck with me for quite some time afterwards, because I always felt that I was being very immature and not liking a band simply because kids like them or teenagers or girls like them or whatever. I mean, it's obviously so superficial, and it's kind of stuck with me. And every once in a while I'll dip in and listen to the best of Ash and kind of remind myself of how stupid I was. So before I introduce the record that I want to talk about, let's just listen to some Ash and take a wee trip down memory lane and just picture how much of an idiot I guess I was then.
Do you remember the time when you would go from Mars? I don't know if you knew that. I would stay up late playing cards and you were into and cigars. And she never told me her name. I still love you, the girl from Mars. Oh yeah, she was taking me over. And oh yeah, it was the start of the summer. What you do to me, I haven't been the same since my teenager followed me. Hold on, I looked on my phone with Bruce Lee's brother and Johnny Wong. I think it's strange, his friends are coming at you, and he thinks he loves you. Seems so alive. She slips into my life, and she is gone, gone to set the score, gone to the town.
Alright, Kevy. So yeah, that was the 16, 17-year-old version of me who refused to listen to Ash. So funny that. So there were a couple of albums released recently in Northern Ireland. I'm recording this from a different house today, so I don't have the vinyl with me, and the actual record I'm talking about hasn't arrived yet. Your competition has inspired me to actually go and buy the record, because I only just have an MP3 download of it, and I figured for me to take this competition seriously, I need to actually own it as well, because I'm trying to talk you into buying the record as well. Two Door Cinema Club. Yeah, forgive my my DIY record here, but it hasn't actually arrived in the post. Funnily enough, I bought a reissue of it from 2011 on Glassnote, so it's actually coming to me from the States, even though this band is from Northern Ireland. Sorry about that, Kevy. I'm getting a bit of crazy winter sun there, so I couldn't quite see anymore. So, the band Two Door Cinema Club. The reason why I wanted to present the record to you and talk about Ash previously is it's something very similar. These guys come out of school around sort of 17, 18-year-old guys, and instead of going off to university, they have decided to make a career in the music industry, and done some demos and stuff in their house. Ended up getting signed to French sort of electronica label, as opposed to the more typical indie pop labels that you would find here in the UK. And they've become really, really quite successful here in Europe, and in the States I believe they're successful as well. I'm here to talk about their first debut album, Tourist History. And for me, when I first heard this record, a friend sent me a link to one of their songs, Undercover Martin, and I just was caught up by the energy. I just thought to myself, God, these are young guys here who really know how to bounce, how to make you go. So it was after that I realised they were from Northern Ireland and from about 20 miles up the road from me, and they were young. Everything that Ash were when I was 17 that I disliked about Ash, these guys are that. And if I was 17 today, I know that I would probably dislike Two Door Cinema Club for the same reason, and I would probably be into fucking Skrillex or some other crazy kind of music instead of this bouncy indie pop. But now I'm a mature adult. When I listen to this album, it just makes me come alive. It makes me feel like I'm a teenager, like I'm 17 again. It makes me feel like I want to go out and kiss girls and party and be young and foolish and get up for school the next day. So the album is very much about young guys singing the same songs that we would all probably write and sing at that age. Songs about girls, love, female, we skits on spies and stuff, just we stupid stories, but it's really warm and inviting. There's a punky edge to it, like a kind of a power punk, pop punk sort of edge to it, but there's intricate beats, melodies that reveal themselves on repeated listens. Just take a nice set of headphones in, and you'll hear sort of stuff going on in the background that you maybe wouldn't hear when you're busy bouncing around the living room. They have a kind of clean, needly guitar sound, and remind you a wee bit of Johnny Marr, but there's ticky electronica beats sort of going on underneath, and a generous, warm, bouncy kind of bass, wee bit of disco feel to the bass. Sometimes it seems to all come together in an anthemic, bouncy chorus that just makes you want to jump up in being a sweaty gig somewhere with a load of other teenagers and hopefully girls everywhere, and just really go crazy. I have a habit of, whenever I don't listen to lots and lots of music, so whenever a new album comes to me that I really like, I have a habit of playing it all the time. So if I'm cycling to work or sitting in work or in the car, I might maybe play an album 100 times before I'll move on from it. If that album syncs with me, it can be there with me forever. So I have a smaller collection, but the stuff in my collection I just really love to absorb. And there's no other media like that. I'm not really the kind of guy to watch a movie more than once. I will read books more than once, but I will listen to albums hundreds of times. So this album came to me late last year and really came to me over the summer, and I've probably listened to it 50 or 60 times since the summer. And quite simply, it makes me feel like I'm 17 again. It makes me feel that the world revolves around the one-handed technique to take apart a girl's bra while you're kissing her. It revolves around where you're going to get the money to get a pack of beer on the Friday night, and who's going to go into the off license with their ID, their fake ID, and get everyone sorted. Where are we going to drink? What disco or club are we going to go to that night? And who's kissing who? And it just who cares about school? Sunday night is the only time that you do your homework or do your essays. Who's got the next best album? It makes me feel like I'm 17 and I'm unabashedly in love with this album. and I hope you maybe fall in love with it too. I mean, I don't even know your taste that well, Kevy, so it might be something that's really sounds too simple or too teenage for you. I don't know, but in closing, I have prepared a little montage for you. I think this is what Two Door Cinema Club Tourist History might be able to do for you. Roll the tape.